My guest today, Tammy Cohen, has started a revolution in the most incredible, positive way possible. You are not going to want to miss this episode. Stay tuned. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Art of a Meaningful Life. And I am Carmen Davailus. I'm your host. And, this is the place where we get to talk about how we find ways to lead a meaningful life. And I'm thrilled today because I have a guest, Tammy Cohen. And Tammy is, I want to get this right, so messaging strategist, which I love because you coordinated that to so much. And you've written an award-winning book, Text Messages to My Sons, which I cannot wait to dive into. But welcome, Tammy.
Well, thank you, Carmen. It's so great to be here. And I love that your concept, the art of a meaningful life, because it seems to take a while to find that meaningful life, right?
Yeah,
I feel like it's taken me a long time.
it's a work in progress.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
I put it together, it's like stroke by stroke, if you're creating art, and I thought, yeah, and then we sometimes have to go over it and try again.
And then we don't see the big picture until we've actually moved away a little bit, from it.
Yeah, yeah. And how many people contribute to it, which is what we're here for today, because how much we learn from one another. And speaking of that, Tammy and I have spoken on a women's summit, Women to Watch. That's us.
Yes,
Women
a
to Watch.
Women's International Day Summit.
Yes, yes, and phenomenal. And which is on the women's channel. And so we're sharing a stage, which is just incredible experience. I don't even know how to explain that. So, y'all, if you haven't seen it, you need to tune in. So,
It's 2 days of some really great speakers and topics.
yes, talking about the art of a meaningful life. That's what we all talk about, essentially.
Yeah, it's everybody's stories because we all have stories.
Yeah. Speaking of stories, you need to tell me, tell us about your your book and how it came about, because um, and and how this relates to living a meaningful life for you.
Well, it's so interesting, Carmen, and that's a great way to, kind of delve into this. I never set out to write a book, and I never thought about what became like how this actually became not just one book, but two books, and then a mission where I actually found the meaning of what I want to do. So what happened was it's a couple of years ago, and it was the start of the pandemic. And I had always, I didn't even know when everything shut down. Like I knew I was unhappy for many years. I knew I was not functioning well, but my worthiness, I always found it externally. Like if I was, working or bringing in, bringing in money. And money was always like kind of like there was always like businesses and issues, things happening. And I was traveling a lot. I didn't even know I was traveling every 2 weeks out of every month because I was escaping. I didn't really put it all together until the pandemic happened. And we all were, it was a very challenging time, but everybody kind of had to sit and take stock, right? So
Mhm.
I had time to think. And I
Right.
was like, wow, I have to acknowledge the fact that I've been having these feelings of resentment and despair and victimization. And I was self-sabotaging for so long. And it was like a repetitive thing. And I said, I'm not happy and I need to do something about it. And I can because I'm not going anywhere. So what I started doing, and I know a lot of people along the lines, because it was time of the Great Resignation, right? People were at home, we were all in the same kind of headspace. So
Mhm.
I was, I hired coaches and oh my God, courses and mindset programs and the quantum fields. I was devouring books. I was, unleash the power within. I was all over the place. Okay. I was just watching these things and reading and doing programs and courses and learning some really interesting things that I never could thought about, like concepts like gratitude, appreciation, but also limiting beliefs
Yeah.
and the subconscious
Yeah.
and things I never thought about.
Right.
And I was like, wow.
Because you don't have
Like,
to unless it's facing you, right? I
well,
mean,
also we're not taught any of this stuff ever. It's not discussed. Worthiness is not a topic. It's not what my generation for sure. And I still see the
we're-
thing that, it's not kind of taught in school. And I realized not only did I not ever, I grew up in a home with a lot of generational discord, and there was trauma, and my parents had their own unresolved issues, and from their parents, and it was kind of you just inherit it. That's what the tribe is about, and that's you inherit it. And I realized that I wanted to share with my sons who grown, they weren't little kids, um, everything I was learning. Like I just want to share this wisdom with them because I knew in their school, I was very involved with, their schools and stuff. Hey, they don't teach this. They don't teach any of this, but I have to share it with them. So I started messaging them everything I was learning, everything I was reading, every quote that I found fascinating. I wasn't talking at them. I wasn't lecturing them. I was just sharing. And I just started the first one. I remember thinking, like, are they going to think I'm nuts? Like, where is this coming from? But I was committed that it would be a very much an unconditional act. I don't expect I wasn't expecting anything from them. I wasn't expecting them to respond or ever tell me like you're the best mommy ever. Thank you so much for these beautiful messages. No, I just wanted to share. And what happened was over time, and it didn't take that long, the messages started becoming so heart centered. They started coming from my heart. I was pouring out to them how much I love them, how extraordinary I find them, how grateful I am for them. And, you know, it just was an unbelievable like thing of this empathy and compassion that I never really felt, or I always had a hard time feeling and verbalizing.
mm,
But for some reason, messaging, it just was coming out. And I wanted them to know how worthy they are. Like because I don't care how old you are. We're all a child of somebody,
mhm,
even if our parents passed. Okay,
mhm,
and I don't care. Every person I've spoken to and everybody who's like read my book and talks to me tells me like all they wanted to know is that their parents love them, that their parents thought they were worthy, that and I'm like that's what we want. We want to know we matter.
yeah,
Everybody wants to know that they matter to somebody
yes,
somewhere,
yeah,
and we have more ways to connect than ever, and people are more disconnected than ever. So I said, okay, I can make this difference in doing this with my sons. And, God willing, they'll do it with their kids or they'll do it with a friend of theirs who they feel needs extra support. And it just started kind of rippling from there. And it became something that I realized was the meaning and the mission of my life was to get parents, grandparents, and that's what started happening to take the time to bridge the distance that technology has caused.
mhm,
It doesn't mean that their kids are distant from them. It's just, kids get more independent as they go, and they do get more distant in a lot of ways. And
mhm,
because we don't have those in-person conversations and we don't live near our parents like we used to, things have changed a lot. So how do you reach them? And that's what I thought about. Like Carmen, I said to myself, where are they all the time? They're on their phones. We're holding a phone in our hand. Everybody, doesn't matter how old you are. It's in your
mhm,
pocket, it's in your bag, it's in your hand. So I know they will look at a message and
mhm,
there's no obligations on their end. So it's really easy. And over time, um, it just became a beautiful thing to the point where they wrote the forward. They wrote the forward of what it meant to them to know that there's somebody who loves them enough to
uh-huh.
message them to do this, and they feel bulletproof because they can go sideways. They know that there's somebody in their corner every day,
Yeah.
and
What
that's it. That's the whole thing, and that's how it turned about. And it came around so full circle, so many different ways for me and for them and for my family and for everybody people I do business with, people I speak to, colleagues, everybody. It changed my life.
wow. Just wow. I think about yeah, at our base, we want to matter. We want to know we matter to someone, and that goes along that worthiness too, which I personally hadn't thought about worthiness a lot until I started reading books about that in the last 5, 6 years, and I think it was such like subconsciously I knew like this is something I'm going to have to really work on. And so I tended to not want to, I just wasn't ready. I just like, "Nah, I don't know," because then I got to really look at stuff in a different way and worthiness and then the pandemic, for all of that, so many use that time. Like I talk about presence, right? The power of presence. And that was our time to be present with ourselves. And some of us, like you just described for the very first time, to deep dive into look at what do we really want or believe and what have how have we been living that we like take that art and wipe that away and repaint, right, repaint the meaning there in our lives, like this painting needs to be mm, scrapped and started over or what have you, and to take that and I get that, just diving deep into so much and that just had to cause like overload almost with but then you found the core piece for you.
Well, what's really interesting is, changing the conversation, like you're talking about, like going at and changing the art or recreating the art, saying it's a new piece. Like for me, I like everything is such a work in progress for me because no matter how much you learn, there's the sabotage side, there's the peaks and the valleys, and there's things, and it's just not like, okay, I became aware, so now everything's going to change. Like people talk about those aha moments. I've
Yeah.
had a couple of those, but I'm still myself. And
Yes.
at the end of the day, Kelly Talixon is a very bright woman. She's a psychologist and she's the author of Voiceless Soul. And we spoke about this whole, the generational discord that a lot of us inherit. It's like a program. And she said to me, and this really penetrated my brain, like most people are kids in adult bodies looking for one of a couple of very few things: love, looking for worthiness, looking for safety. There's other things you can be looking for, especially if you were abandoned or things
Hmm.
happened when you were a kid. But that's where most people are coming from. And we kind of have the expectation that somebody's going to provide that for us. And what we have to provide it for ourselves. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of constant work to keep giving yourself that self-love, that it's okay to love yourself, that it's okay to take care of yourself, that yes, I'm worthy. I'm not an imposter. It's like a daily kind of cycle. I just know that I'm 63, so it's been going on for a long time. I wanted to make sure that my kids, knew of this stuff earlier on. I think that's the best gift we can give our kids is to know that it's okay to fail.
Yeah.
It's okay. Life gives you gifts. Life is your best friend. It's giving you all these gifts, and God is with you. And, to keep letting them know these things just because we didn't have that benefit necessarily. This was a different time. We didn't have the resources that we do now. So
Mhm.
I said, let me get ahead of this and do that with them. And I realized another big thing is if you want your kids to be accountable, if you want people to be accountable, you have to be. So I really started, a lot of my messages were me being accountable for the way I behaved, for the things that came out of my mouth, for the flying off the handle, for saying hurtful things when it wasn't even them. It
Hmm.
was me being triggered because I wasn't always in the right place. Because, a lot of times what's happening now when you're reacting to something has nothing to do with that other person. It has something to do with it's taking you back, but you don't even realize it. So I wanted them to know that. And, that was the first big shift where my kids were very intrigued by this whole process I was going through because they were like, check her out. She's like trying to evolve and learn. And I'm like, yeah, I'm telling them I don't know everything. I want to learn. That was a big shift for them. But also, the big shift was in the accountability messaging was they saw me as a human being.
Yes.
And
Yes.
a lot of us don't see our parents that way.
Hmm. Hmm.
Struggles with the human beings. So sometimes we never do. We just see like, them as a parent. We treat them that way, but we don't see them any other way. And they saw me that way. And it was a shift. It definitely was. And our
Yeah.
relationship, I could see like the subtle shifts in those moments that came to full circle moments where we really the messages really actually helped us prepare for much bigger things that were coming down the pike that we didn't even know
Didn't
about.
even know. Yeah, I still love that. I'm with you age-wise. I'm a little older, Tammy, but
No, thank God we look good. Thank
don't
God.
we? Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think I don't think it's too late. And I think that the wisdom that comes with years of watching and listening and experiencing, there's a lot of value in that. And to be able to look back now and go, "Ooh, I just want to give that 20-year-old myself a hug because she was really hard on herself." Right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, yeah, my 50-year-old self too. She needs a
Yeah,
hug too.
like the fear factor, like, and talking about fear and, you
Yeah.
know, and that it's okay. Like, it's natural, but like, fear is the mind killer. Like nobody told me to get out of the headsets or, it was kind of like scarcity. I always heard about, there's not enough, and like all these different things. When you're growing
Yeah.
up, you hear and you just say, that's the rule, those are rules.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I never thought vertically, who thought vertically? I mean, it was always like this linear,
Hmm.
okay. And I do break things down into small steps. Everything is small steps. I don't get overwhelmed. Talk
Yeah.
about, there's a lot of overwhelm and trying to tackle on a lot of things. I do recommend small steps, but now I can think like there is no limit. And you can always change things.
Yeah.
There's never too late. Like if you would have told me 5 years ago, oh, okay, Tammy, you would have written 2 books. And I had started a women's business network. I opened up an LL, 2 more LLCs. And then I was going to have a podcast and do things that I would have looked at you like you're nuts. And I was working like a dog. I was traveling and I love my job. I love
Hmm.
what I was doing. I love the clients I was working with. But I would have thought you were nuts. It's never too late.
Yeah.
No, that's the first thing. And it's never too late to rebuild a relationship or change a relationship. You just have to be willing to do it.
Yeah.
And people stand on ceremony like they're not going to take the step. They're going to wait for the other person. And I'm like, no, you know what? You're the parent, you're the whatever, whoever you are, you
Hmm.
take the step. And
That's
you just
right.
you keep going. And
Yeah.
they will not make if they don't respond, it's fine, but they will know those messages are there. And believe me, the day those messages stop coming, that's what they're going to miss,
Hmm.
not anything else. They're going to miss those messages. And I've seen it time and time again. And my readers tell me really interesting things about how it's helped them. And
Huh.
it's a simple thing. Like you don't need years of therapy for this. You don't need coaches. You don't need to
Yeah.
invest in courses. You have a phone, and we all have a phone, right? You have a
Yeah.
phone.
There
Just
is,
start.
tell me this now, was there a sense of vulnerability,
Yes.
especially in the beginning,
Yeah.
like this is different, right? And
Mhm.
we all wonder, how's it going to be received? And what am I going to say? And is this going to be the right thing? And did you go through that?
Absolutely. I remember when I sent the first message about something I had just learned, and I was thinking, I was a little hesitant. I was like, I thought, like, are they going to think I'm insane?
Mhm.
Like, this is out of nowhere.
Right.
Because Carmen, when they were younger, like in high school, you go through different stages of life. There's middle school, there's lower school, there's middle school, they get the phone in middle school, there's high school,
Hmm.
there's college, there's post-college, they're adults, they're working, they're moving out. Like, each stage is completely different,
Hmm.
and you can't talk to them the same way.
No,
Forget
no.
talking. You're not. I don't know any kid who's actually having a conversation. You can't. Like in high school, a lot of it was reminders and reprimands and commands and that kind of messaging. And I've been doing that. I have been doing that always. It was always something. There was
Hmm.
always a point to it. When I decided to stop it, they were already grown up. So I realized I can't like sit there and tell them, remind them, reprimand them, and command them. Like it's ridiculous.
Right.
So I was a little bit nervous, like because it was such a shift that they were going to wonder, but they kind of were like, whatever, they didn't respond. So I just kept going because I was like, I'm learning really cool stuff. I want to share it. And over they would when they would come for dinner Friday night or something, or I'd see them, they'd be like, that was a good message. Your
Uh,
messages are long, but they're very well written. That's what they would say to me. Well, they're good. Like good thought. That's good.
hmm. Hmm.
But what I noticed was they were noticing that I was changing. They were
Uh,
noticing that I was trying. They
right.
were noticing that I was saying I don't know everything, that I
Yes.
was learning, I was trying to evolve. And that was the big take. And I say to people now, I go, listen, first of all, I have a 30-day calendar. Like it's really cool with the prompts and how do you start this very James Clear. How do you start this habit? Because it's a habit. It's not a
Yeah.
one and done. It's not I
Yeah.
love you, have a good day, make good choices. It's not anything like that. It's
Yeah.
full on continual messaging. I do it Monday through Friday. Like you have to pick your day, your time you're going to do it so you can develop a habit. It takes like 30 to 66 days for a habit really to sink. So
Mm-hmm.
I have this whole like habit building calendar, but I tell people, look, just start. I have a book. There's 215 pages of text messages, literally in categories and the why message about
Yeah.
mindfulness, the why message about leadership, the why these types of messages, why am I doing these types of messages, and take them, tweak them. But believe me, talk about presence. When you start doing this every day, you're making like this practice, you become
Mm-hmm.
way more present. You
Mm-hmm.
start noticing things on your own.
Yes.
You start sharing, it becomes from your heart. These are your loved ones, okay?
Yeah.
It
It,
won't take long for you to not need the book.
yeah.
You'll do
Isn't
it.
that the case? It's like when you take those stops to connect with another, then it becomes easier and easier, more comfortable and more typical. And because I'm not sure, but I know for me, like that part of me was because I too had a long career before and just like I just kept saying there's got to be something more. There's got to be something more. And like this part of me was jumping out even though I integrated into what I was doing, but it just wasn't the whole story. And I saw myself retiring from that work. Well, I put in 40 years, so I could have, right? But I mean, I just kept thinking, well, what is that something more? And I think that was this piece of me where I'm at now and will continue just fighting to come out
Right.
and not real clear, but it that's how it goes. You don't, like you said, you don't see the whole picture till you back away a little bit and you're like, oh yeah, you know, and
It's very true. Like you find what you're passionate about.
yeah, yes. And with regard to your sons, I think I was thinking about when my son was in grade school, I would put little notes in his lunchbox every day, right? A little post-it note with something on it. And he was like, "Oh, mom, or this or that, or not say anything." And I mean, I went to great lengths, like in the middle of a sandwich. I want to be sure he saw it. Like
I love that.
maybe he missed it. And it wasn't until he was older, like so. I'm 67. My son is 39 now, and he was talking to his little first graders and second graders. He said, Mom used to put messages in my lunchbox, and I thought it was just so dorky, but it was really nice.
I can't believe you said that because I have a card, that I like I speak a lot and I have a card that goes into the bags or I give to people. So it says the modern message in the lunchbox. Because I remember as a kid, when we were young, especially like I was always like in awe of the kids who got the message in the lunchbox. Like I didn't care that they had the Twinkie or fudge or some the great brownie, what have you. I
Uh-huh.
was like, they're the luckiest kid. They got a message from their mom because my mom didn't do that.
Right.
And I was like, that's so cool. And I have a lot of dads who are very into this whole messaging thing. And what really interested me was the young dads who don't have the kids are babies or they're in lower school. They're not there yet with phones. But they said, you know what? They said two things. One is I am writing a message every day and putting it in my family chat. And it's getting me ready for when my kid has the phone, where to start. And I've had dads tell me that they put it in their kid's knapsack.
Uh,
And they started that way. And one dad shared a story that his son is in middle school and he was getting in trouble a lot. And it was like a regular thing. And the kid has a phone. So we started just sending him a message every day of how proud he is of him and how much he loves him.
yeah.
And the behavior changed.
Yeah.
And his son just wanted to be seen. And he didn't realize that's all it was, is people want to be seen. They want to know that. you think about them, that you love
Acknowledge.
them. I've
Yeah.
had dads, who are going through very acrimonious divorces. They can't see the children, and it's unfortunate. And
Hmm.
I say, look, you just message your child every day. Like,
Hmm.
you love them. You
Hmm.
can't wait till you can get together. They're amazing. Like just keep telling them that because they're going through a really hard time. I mean, my parents divorced, and we didn't have that ability. There was the phone,
Yeah,
but
we didn't have.
like you had to talk, but sometimes talking is hard when their emotions are high. But
Hmm.
sending that message where you matter to me, I love you, and I can't wait to see you, it just would do everything because you
Hmm.
know that you are loved, that you're not, because sometimes there's a lot going on, especially in a
Hmm.
divorce situation. So I just saw it like how this was kind of people were adapting it and taking it to their own. I've had people reach out to me like, I wish my mother told me she loved me. I wish, like, I heard heartbreaking things.
Hmm.
And, you know, it's like, it's now like I said, we can connect and we can connect in a really positive way. The amount of algorithm fatigue and cognitive overload that kids are experiencing and people are experiencing in general from being just nonsense distractions, because that's what algorithms do. They're there to over engage you. But what's the problem is that there's a lot of misinformation being thrown at you, a lot of indoctrination, a lot of not good things. And
Hmm.
I think when you become that inspiration, that love on a
Yeah.
regular basis, your energy, that energy of gratitude, of love, these good things vibrate so high, Carmen.
Hmm.
And it really can knock out the negativity that there also is coming in on the other side from all of the digital platforms out there.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I know when I send the message, my energy shoots. And I know when my sons read that message, their energy goes up. And
Hmm.
that's a release. And
Yes.
you could be the beacon of light. Why can't we be the beacon of light to somebody, the foundational support person, the safe
Hmm.
space? Why, that where they'll go, you know what? I'm going over here. This
Hmm.
is noise. I'm
Yeah.
going over here. And I think we all have the capacity to do it for someone we care about, a friend, a colleague. And now I message everybody like this, like these kind of things.
Yeah.
I feel my role is to be that person to put out better energy.
I love that. And I don't think we can underestimate the power of a few words, short and sweet. I mean, personally, I photograph people who have dementia, and I had a nonprofit for this. And one family I was working with, the daughter was there, and it ended up being a big thing on TV and stuff. And so we were filming, and the daughter hadn't gotten there yet, and the mom was talking about her daughter, and she just couldn't have been more how beautiful and how she's not what you might describe as beautiful, but she has this big heart and she just glows. And I had been talking to her daughter, and she says, Mom's pretty hard on me. And I don't think she ever really, I think she was disappointed in me. And now that she has dementia, I'm never going to really get what I needed to hear from her, is what she said. And so when I got this clip, I was like, oh, this is gold because she needs to hear this. And
Yeah.
when she saw it, she was just like, I would have gone my whole life never knowing that my mom saw me in that way at all. And that was from her mom's heart. That was real. And I thought if she if that hadn't have happened, her daughter would have gone her whole life not knowing that. And what a tragedy. And it changed her outlook. The daughter, it like changed her in an instant. And so that's one moment.
And
Imagine.
did you notice it was it was something that was recorded because
Mhm.
sometimes we find it hard to say the words to somebody else.
Yes.
We find
Yeah.
it
She
hard.
was talking to
But
me.
that's what the messaging, or
Yeah.
when you almost become like the third person and you're sending that in, you could put, like for me, I get very like mushy when I like into those messages. I
Uh-huh.
put my real soul into it.
Yes.
Um, and I always found it was harder for me to do that in person because, it just was. But once you sit down and start like what this woman did with she wasn't saying it to her daughter directly. She's saying it to a camera. So it was almost like
Hmm.
impersonal. I'm saying to another person. It becomes like different than saying what you want to say to that person
Yeah, it was an interview with
matters.
me, so she could tell me, yeah,
Right.
that she couldn't tell her daughter for what have it, and that's her own from her own things, her life, right? And
Her life and
it,
what she got from her parents. I mean, like I said, times were harder. Each
yeah,
generation you go back, and they had less resources,
yes,
and yeah, less. It just was the roles, everything were completely different. So I think you just bring that down. Even in the
mhm,
womb, it comes down. Not
yeah,
everybody. I'm not saying everybody had terrible upbringings, but there's a lot that goes into it, and nothing's perfect. And I'm not saying that anything that I've done with my kids has been perfect. This is one little thing. And
mhm,
I'm the first one to say, like, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a coach. I could be credited, believe me, 10 times over. I've taken enough courses, but that's not my thing. I'm just a
mhm,
mom, and this is what I did that
mhm,
worked well with my kids because
mhm,
we went through when I had a cancer diagnosis in last year, in 2025. I had a breast cancer triple negative diagnosis, and I had to tell my kids. Not only that, it's crazy because the morning of the when the diagnosis came in the afternoon, I sent them a whole message about life giving you gifts. And if you're going to look at everything as that life gives you, life's your best friend. And if you look at every gift,
mhm,
if you look at everything as a hardship, as why is this happening to me, you're going to have life sucked out of you. But if you look at it as a gift that I'm going to learn from this, we're going to get stronger. We're going to, we're going to move on. We're going to move forward. Wow, you rebound and you move and you go up a level for sure. That was my
mhm,
message.
mhm,
Then, like in that later on that afternoon, I got the triple negative breast cancer diagnosis, and a couple of hours later in the morning, I found my youngest son on the floor of his bedroom. He'd suffered a grand mal seizure out of nowhere, and he dislocated or fractured his shoulders. We didn't know. That's why he couldn't get up. He was on the floor all night. I mean, it was a disaster. We had all these things going on very quickly. That message, like I was like, how did I send that mess? How did I even
mhm.
like,
It's like
but I'd been
improvisation.
sending resilience messages to them. But I
Mhm,
can tell you, my sons were really thrown with this happening to their brother. And I didn't tell them about me. I knew I had to see the breast surgeon first before I could even tell them anything because I didn't know what to expect or what was going on.
yeah.
And when I had to tell them, it was the hardest thing I ever had to do. But guess what? They started messaging me. They started messaging me, we're the Cohens. You're amazing. You're strong. You can do this. We can do this. We'll be fine every day. What can I do for you? What do you need? And they did everything because I couldn't walk for 3 months because I had all these issues with my legs. And you know what? I realized at that moment that, and I really connected even more to God. I always message about like God is with us and stuff, but I realized, how could I not be strong when I'm messaging them about resilience and these things and gifts? Like, how could I not be that? How can I not encompass that? Like, I want them to have those things, know this, but I have to know it too. But I realized, Carmen, and this was the biggest aha, that God had me start messaging these boys, not just to connect deeper with them, but to connect to myself. I was a
Mhm,
disconnected one. And every message I sent to them, I was really talking to myself. I didn't know it. I didn't know it until that time frame.
mhm,
And then when I started seeing the ripple effect of how I was thinking and how everybody, friends and community were coming to me. And I learned how to ask for help. And I
yeah,
learned how to receive help. And I learned how to feel compassion and empathy even more. And I learned how to receive it. And this was all, and I'm not saying like my sons wouldn't help me if I had, with cancer, if I didn't message them
sure.
for years, like I'm not
Yeah,
saying that. I'm just saying that I believe that we built this foundation
mhm.
with messaging, and it just
Yeah,
became a natural thing for them
almost
to
like more prepared
take it,
to you were almost preparing them and yourself for a time of
life.
crisis and yeah, for life. Yeah. Well, in closing, I want to, you began with you were very, I'll just say like kind of type A, right? Early in your career, achieving and talking about worthiness and
Judging myself constantly
what's that?
and others.
You
and
were
situations. I was a judge. Yeah,
judging. Yeah, judging.
I
So,
was judging.
yeah, so now at this time, and with what you've learned and what you're doing, knowing this is a process, has it changed how you view success? Success toward that meaningful life?
Yeah, like I used to only see success as monetary, and I used to measure things by what everybody else had. That
Mhm.
was my idea of success. Um, and now, like, success for me are just like having friends, having a beautiful relationship with my sons, my husband, like, letting them know that I love them and I matter. Yeah, it's all the relationships. It's all about that. I don't, think about so much. I mean, yeah, like of course you have to pay for things. I'm not saying you
Sure.
need zero money to live, but I am saying that it's okay. I'm okay with taking time that I need. I'm okay with
Mhm.
taking care of myself. I'm okay with letting myself feel, not pushing things down. Like this is the meaningful part of life is being okay with it. And yeah, not looking for external validation.
Yeah,
That's the biggest thing for me, and that's success is not looking, not judging, and not looking to be validated.
I love
I'm
that.
finally able to do it for myself.
Right?
That's the most successful thing for me.
Well, Tammy, I have had so many aha moments in this, and I know our viewers were too. We will have all the links to your books, ways to find you, and to hear more because this is just a snippet I know of all that you have to share. And I've really been moved by this conversation and um, to think of our modern electronics adding to connection instead of taking it away is just mind-boggling. And it's all in how we do it, right? And our intentions. And what a beautiful story. And then what you've done with it. You I just got goosebumps. Just love it.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Yeah.
for having me. Let me, like, at the end of the day, a phone is neither good nor evil. It's
Yes.
not. It's just a tool.
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
thing. Technology is what it is. It's how you want to use it. That's
Hmm.
all.
Yeah. And I love how you used it to start and what you're still doing and the message that you're spreading to the whole world. Amazing. Just amazing.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. And I appreciate you doing these, asking like the deep questions. What is a meaningful life? Because you know what? We all lose sight of it.
Mm, that was the part
We
of
do.
me needing to come out, really needing to like, that's what I really want to talk about because I'm searching for that myself. And that's what we
I
want to
think I
learn
think
about.
we're all searching, but I
Hmm.
think that we're all in the search, we find like the higher consciousness. I
Hmm.
feel it's like if you allow yourself to say, I'm searching,
Yeah.
um, there's more,
Uh-huh.
and I'm willing to go there. I
Yeah.
think you start the soul, everything kind of just opens up and you send.
Hmm.
Whereas if you think, I'm set, I know it all, I'm this, I'm that, I don't, blah, 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 you kind of stuck, you get
Yeah.
stuck.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, we could talk so much longer,
I
but
know for hours.
for hours, and I would just so love it. But I'm going to tell y'all, thank you all for watching, and be sure and check out all of Tammy's links and follow because I just know you won't regret that. And again, thanks for watching. Bye bye.
Bye.